Fiona Forbes, and I'm here in Nelson, BC at the Kenville Mine to talk to the team from Ximen about what their plans are for the Kenville Mine. I am here with Chris Anderson, President and CEO of Ximen Mining, and of course we are in Nelson, BC. We are at the Kenville Mine, so let's talk about it. Why did you bring it into the fold?
Well, the Kenville Mine has been an opportunity that we've been pursuing for several years now. It's what I think is a pristine project, ready to move forward on and see some production on some high-grade underground mining.
And set the stage. What is happening at Kenville right now, and where are you hoping to take it?
Well, right now we're pretty much set up. We own the surface rights, we own the underground rights. There is a permit in place now, a 5-year multi-year permit to do a decline, but we're renewing that and extending it for another 5 years. And we've got all the buildings in place, we've got the equipment that we need to start on the decline that we want to do. Earthwork has been completed, and so we're in the permitting stage. And then in 2020 we hope to be breaking rock and putting ore on the ground. And
why Kenville for Ximen? Why was it a good fit for you?
Oh, it's just a pristine project ready to go. It's environmentally friendly, small footprint, everything. The stage is set. I think if you can't get this into production, I don't think you'll ever get a small mine into production in BC. I think this project is just
ready to roar.
Ready to roar. Yeah, ready to roar.
And tell us how the whole Kenville deal came together.
Yes, well, it's always been on our radar. Kenville is on the forefront because it's ready for production. We're the earthworks there done, we're ready to go, you know, and this is a great opportunity to put a small mining operation into production in southern BC.
You seem pretty excited about Kenville.
Very excited. You know, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to move this project forward and support the team that's here to do that. You know, Dr. Matt Ball has been involved in several mining projects, and Lloyd Penner, who was the last man standing in here when it was in operation before, and has laid out the plan and knows what he's doing here on the ground. His mine supervisor and mine plan here has done a phenomenal job in laying out the story, and we just want to support him 100%, and I think we're going to have a very successful little gold mine here and starting up in 2020 is what we're hoping for.
Well, we can't wait to see what's happening next for Kenville and for Ximen. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, Fiona.
Lloyd, tell us a little bit about where we are.
We're in BC, down on the south border, and we're right down here in the province, in the very southeast corner. And if you look here, you can see we're at Nelson, is 12 minutes away from the mine site. Castlegar is 20 minutes away from the mine site. And that's our little group of claims right there. There's a slightly bigger picture of our claims, just, a little grouping, not too far from Nelson.
And tell us about Kenville Mine. There's a lot of history here. Fill us in.
This is the first recorded underground mine in this province. It was incorporated in 1888. They started stoping, if you will, like mining actual bulk ore in 1890. And they ran right through. It changed hands several times, but basically they ran right through till 1954. After that, it was done by lease miners in and out. They did some in the 80s. And basically we're picking around the old parts of the mine, trying to echo out a little bit more from the existing mine at the time.
And tell us what is happening here at Kenville Mine today.
Today we're preparing to actually physically mine again and reopen a mine here. It's not going to be the existing mine because it's a difficult location to access the new ore from. So we're going to start a new decline. We want to go into production.
And tell us what is in front of us here. What are we looking at?
These are the quartz veins that inhabit our hillside. Basically, this entire mountain that we're on is called Toad Mountain. It's a pluton of granite. You know, the underlying geology, which is well mapped by the government and geologists, shows that we're on this pluton, and it essentially comprises granite. And there's the odd Lampreyfere dike in it, like this. So this is the entire mountain right here. There are no other real anomalies in this mountain. So when we go in, we're going into this rock. This rock has no metals in it. It has lots of carbonate in it, making it acid neutral. It neutralizes acid, so that's a really good benefit for us for two reasons. One is because it's fantastic ground to mine in. It's solid. It's much safer than most ground. And the other real big reason is simply that there's no metal in it, so we have no acid drainage issues with this mine, which is, I can't overstate enough how important that is. They're high-grade narrow vein gold. That's what this mine is. You got granite, and then you got quartz veins. And you can see they're beautiful quartz veins. They just, they're very tight to the granite. The contacts are really tight, kind of like this. So there's, it's very solid ground. There's your waste rock and there's your quartz vein. And they're very tight. It's really nice ground. This is the best ground I've ever worked in 35 years of underground mining.
And you've spent a lot of time at Kenville Mine.
I was the last miner to mine ore from this mine in 1992 and 3. I drilled some in 1994 underground, and yes, I was on site all during those years, and then I went away because we kind of went into different programs here, and I came back in 2009, and I've been involved pretty heavily since then.
And what brought you back here today?
I was brought back to take over a drilling program and do some work in the underground, see if we couldn't find some new areas. Because in the existing mine, most of the areas, even though there's nice quartz veins all around, it's been picked. It's been very picked, like all historical mines have been, right? And so we needed a new area. We needed to find some fresh ground around it, and that's kind of why I was brought here.
And there's obviously some expectations. If you come back, what are the hopes? What are the expectations? What do you think you're going to find?
We've already found what we're going to find. All we have to do now is to build the mine.
Lloyd, tell us a little bit more about the site itself.
This is an overview of our Crown-granted mineral claims. There's 15 of them. You can see we're in this room right here, that building. So this one claim called the election encompasses all of our mine buildings, our shops, the offices, the labs, we call this the war room, the mine house, all on the election claim. The new mine site that we want to build is all on this claim called the Venango claim they're adjoining. Okay, so everything's on those two claims. I want to point out, these are 15 Crown-granted mineral claims. We own the undersurface rights. They're deeded to us. They're not a mineral tenure. These are deeded to us. And most important, these claims, which encompasses the entire surface footprint of the mine, is surface owned by us. These two as well, but the main ones, we own the surface to these, we hold deeds.
And walk us through this map here.
Yes, this is a shot of these two, the election and the Venango claims. Again, here's all our buildings. This isn't the entire claims, but there's all our buildings on that election claim, and then we go across that little road. There's our new mine site. The earthwork's all done here, and that's where the new mine site's going to go, and that's the Venango. There's a little, that was a drone survey, so there's a topo of this Venango area, and that's where we're going to drive our new portal. Right here is the portal site. This is granite bedrock, all that granite we talk about on this mountain, well, that's bedrock right there. So that's where we're going to start it. We're going to go in at a slight incline. And the reason for that is so that all the surface water doesn't drain into the mine. And then once we're in there, about 20 feet past the face, we're going to turn slightly and we're going to do our line drive. The reason we want to turn slightly is to just break the concussion from the blasting coming out. And the incline again is just to keep the water out of the mine. So it's ready to go. Yeah, it's ready to start blasting on.
And the road looks fresh and new. We've got the power lines right there.
Yeah, everything's pretty fresh. The saplings grew up on the bank a little on me over the last year, but other than that, yeah, it's a really good road. Everything here is nice and solid. Again, I'm going to use a granite rock to top all of this, so we're going to spread that granite everywhere so we don't have...
And this is a snapshot of 2007, 2008. Tell us what's happening here.
In 2007 and 8, a company called MPH from Ontario was commissioned to do a drill program. They drilled 13,500 meters. These are the veins that were mined out in our existing mine, and they lay like this. They lay pretty shallow. So they had that mapped out, and they had all the drill holes that were done in the 40s and that, which are well documented. They laid those on there, and the ones they did in 2007. And then they started on the 2008 program, and what I'd like to kind of point out here is if you look at this, this is our Crown granted outline, all the claims. If you look at this, prior to this, there was no real mapping overviews like this. So you can see the veins strike along this direction, and there's a big blank place right there. And needless to say, when you got this big blank spot right beside your big old gold mine, it's pretty clear what you got to do. So we did it.
Well, let's move on over today and tell us what's happening here.
So here we overlaid our existing mine because it was all nice and surveyed, and that's where all those veins are looking at you and have been mined. So we started poking holes here, and I'm going to say at the very end of 2009 in December, I put the drill right there. And I poked this hole right there because if there was going to be extensions to these veins, they had to be obviously in strike. And Yahoo, we hit the best, one of the best vein intersections in the history of the mine. It was a fantastic hit. We all went home for Christmas pretty happy. And then we kept drilling. I would sit here and do a fan of holes. And I would move the 100 meters. I would do a fan of holes and a cross hole, another, right? And we kept on moving. All these holes. We drilled 14 holes south of the mine. Every single hole hit every single time consistently without fail. They all went through multiple vein strikes.
So you all went home happy for Christmas. What did you find right here?
That was a really nice long intersection, and it confirmed that there was a continuation of the vein strikes. And so we hit a vein strike here at 1.8 meters long. And the actual average ended up being just under an ounce for that intersection. There was a piece in it that was 2 ounces, you know, over about a meter. But of course, if we were mining it, we'd take the whole thing. So we would end up with just under an ounce on that one. But it was a real eye opener because it confirmed the extensions and it gave us the start to where we should go. And it was an important hole. We call it our discovery hole. We were able to set up one more hole right here, and we drilled 4 holes off that. In 2008, they had drilled a bunch of holes in here, so we kind of added and infilled some of those. Since then, we've done the investigation. Everything's been surveyed, so we knew where it lay, so we mapped out our intersections. And these red ones are just kind of some of the real high hits. The yellow ones are the intermediates, like 20, 25 grams, and then the blues. We want to start the mine right here, the new tunnel. It's right beside the historic Venango. So in we go, and right in here we start having some really nice hits, but as you can see, the drilling's really thin. So I want to start the underground diamond drills right here. We drill this way, we drill this way. The veins are sitting like this. There's a sheeted stack of them. I call it a little forest of veins because that's essentially what you're into. We try to stay out of the veins as much as we can for this drive, and we hit it with the drills. And once we get here, we have ample evidence that even if we found nothing along the way, which is pretty hard to imagine, but if we didn't, this area here, we will definitely get to a bulk sample that we want to start with. So we'll lay that out in that area.
Give us a sense of scale of what was happening then and what you found here today.
In the historic mine, they were mining on 5 main veins. You can almost see them. That was one there. There was one there, and they worked their way along. One thing that was real noticeable about the new drilling was that each hole hit many more veins than we were encountering in the old existing mine. And the grades were substantially higher consistently, especially in this area here. Every hole went through lots of very high-grade intersections. So now we drilled for 500 meters south of the mine. So we have continuous strike for 500 meters. It's open to the south, it's open to the east, it's open to depth. We drilled approximately a 250 meter dip, if you will. So if the veins land like that, we got a 250 meter slab of it drilled off. The rest we didn't drill. And then alongside the west side of the mine, we have, as we discussed, all these really nice intersections. And we went underground and we drilled this series of holes to kind of fill them in. We drilled 4 holes here. We hit some really nice high grades. So what it indicates is pretty clearly, in fact, that you got 750 meters worth of strike to mine here. And you have, as so far, you have about 250 meters of dip. If you were to mine that at 125 tons a day at a ½ ounce a ton, you would be mining for approximately 18 years just inside that block that we drilled off.
Do the new water regulations affect Kenville at all?
The new water regulations affect everybody in the province. I've been working with the Ministry of Environment on it, and It looks pretty good for the Kenville mine, and the big reason for this is because the water that's coming out of that mine, we have about 100 gallons a minute coming out, and we've done a full water baseline for a year. We did it in 2010-11. We used Massey Environmental from town, which is highly recommended by the ministry, so we used them, and this is the nicest water in the province. And there might be some equal, but none are going to beat this water.
Pretty pristine?
Beautiful water. There's been lots of proposals to put in a bottling plant and to bottle this water. We're hoping we don't want anything to do with that because we are a mine. We have another part of the permit that's called your metal leaching and acid-based accounting. Everyone has to do that. So when we dump the waste rock on the ground, you have to look at it, and if there's any metals in it, you've got to have some kind of a plan so that they don't generate an acid over decades and decades and then go into the water courses. It just makes it real easy for permitting purposes, and it makes the government officials feel really confident and calm about our project. It's got such a small little surface footprint. It's tiny, and the rock is wonderful, the water is wonderful. There's very few downsides to the Kenville mine. I could add also our power source. We extended a 3-phase power line over to our new site in 2014 when I was here doing the original permitting, and that power line goes right down to the Kootenay Hydro Dam. So we're getting water or power off of the hydro dam to run this.
So what's the timeline moving forward?
Once we start the project, it's going to take us 5 months to get to this point. And that's going to include about 4,500 meters worth of drilling at the same time. Once we hit 200 meters, we're going to start the drill, and it's going to be behind our advance. So in 5 months, what we plan to do is have the stopes blocked out from the drilling. We're going to be at 524 meters in at that point. And we're going to start the bulk sample. We're going to start the bulk sample permit back here because we already know we're doing it. So we're going to get the amendment going, and by the time we get there, we're going to have that amendment. It should only take a month and a half, according to the ministry, roughly. And so we're going to start bulk mining this area. We'll keep a waste crew going. I call it a waste crew, development crew. As we're doing this, in our budget, I've kept the drill running all the time on day shift, and I've kept the development crew running on day shift. So we cut it back a little bit because a lot of our resources are going to be tied up here, manpower-wise. So we keep on moving. We're permitted to keep moving, so we want to keep moving because, like I said, this is a super rich area, so we definitely want to keep moving toward it, but this is where we're taking our bulk sample and we're going to start our mining here. As we're moving down here, just before the bulk sample starts, we're going to apply for a small mines permit. The reason, of course, is because by the time we come to the end of our 10,000 tons, we don't want to have to stop. We want to keep on going. So the small mines permit will kick in at that point, and we can just carry on into production.
Okay, Lloyd, we've got a good idea of the plan view, but what are we looking at here?
This is a section. It's a 200-meter deep section, and it runs along this line right here, and you're looking into that piece of mine that we drilled. And what you're looking at here is our geologist's interpretation, basically joining the dots of all the intersections from the drilling, and he's mapped them out into veins that he sees. We're never going to know exactly if those dots are exactly right until we get down there, but that's a really close interpretation based on the historic mine. Looks very much like it. So all these are individual veins. They extend about 700 meters. There's your surface, and to the bottom of where we drilled, you're looking at about 700 meters right there. So to resew the ore like we want to, these are the perfect angles. The perfect angles. We can get 4 cuts. When we drive our vein, our ramp down into that vein, we can take 1 cut, we take the back down, we get 2 cuts, 3 cuts, and then we're up 4 cuts. That's the only way it works is because of this angle. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to do it this way. We'd have to look at a whole new plan where we dilute the ore about 3 to 1. And now we're moving waste, and we're milling waste, and we're filling our tailings pond full of waste. That's completely out of the question here, right? We need to surgically extract these veins exactly how they are, no waste.
I'm here with Dr. Matt Ball from Ximen. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm a geologist, a doctor of geology, graduated in 1998, and since then I've been working all over the world. I have a lot of experience in mining. I've worked in small mines and big mines, worked underground for Gold Corp.
And we're here at the Kenville Mine, so let's talk about your work here.
This is a great opportunity. It's set to go. Was drilled from 2009 to 2012. We got many high-grade intercepts. We're confident that there's something to find in there. We've got a decline permitted into about 500 meters. We'll be into the cluster of high-grade drill intercepts, and it's going to be very exciting when we get there and define the veins and then start the bulk sample.
Seems like the whole team is specifically excited about Kenville.
Well, we're all gold bugs. The gold price is up, and we've got gold mines on our fingertips, so we're really happy.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you so much, Matt.
You're welcome.
And if you want to find out more information, you can go to XXMMiningcorp.com. For Investment Pitch Media, I'm Fiona Forbes.